Thank you for joining us here today. I'm Councillor Brian Quiring, and I'm here on behalf of Mayor Cumming and the rest of City Council. Unfortunately, Mayor Cumming was unable to be here today, and he sends his regrets. So as acting mayor of the City of Vernon, and in the spirit of this gathering, I recognize the City of Vernon is located in the traditional territory of the Silks people of the Okanagan Nation. Today is a very important day, and we are so glad to see all of you here, to take time to pause, reflect, and pay tribute. I'd like to welcome Josh Windquist to the podium, who will be our MC for this morning, and he will guide us through the ceremony. Josh is a communications officer with the City of Vernon and one of the newest members of our team. Josh.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Quiring. Good morning, and thank you all for coming together to observe the 2022 National Day of Mourning. As Acting Mayor Quiring said, I am Josh Windquist. I'm a communications officer with the City of Vernon. Before we get underway, just a few housekeeping things. If anyone does need to use the restroom, located just off to the side here, the door is open. City Hall is still operating as well, so if anybody does need to make their way to the entrance, please just stand off to the side and allow them to do so. So today, marked annually in Canada on April 28th, the National Day of Mourning is dedicated to remembering those who have lost their lives, suffered injury on the job, or experienced workplace injury and tragedy. To provide some history, the Canadian Labour Congress first recognized the Day of Mourning 38 years ago in 1994. In 1990, this day became a national observance with the passing of the Workers' Mourning Day Act. And on April 28, 1991, the federal government officially proclaimed the National Day of Mourning. It's great to see so many people are here today. I know we haven't had this opportunity for a number of years, which also holds a certain significance with the day as well. It's now an opportunity for me to introduce the people who will be speaking today. On behalf of North Okanagan Shuswap Member of Parliament Mel Arnold, Ms. Teresa Durning, representing the City of Vernon, Acting Mayor Brian Quiring, on behalf of WorkSafe BC, Mr. Dion Torium, representing QP Local 626, Katia Turkoff, from Vernon Fire Rescue Services, Fire Chief David Lind, and representing North Okanagan RCMP is Inspector Blake McLeod. Also sending her regrets today, Vernon Monashee MLA Harwinder Sandhu, who is unable to attend, however, has provided a statement that will be read. Now, on behalf of everyone here today, please welcome the representative for MP Arnold, Ms. Teresa Durning.
Thank you for that, Josh. It's an absolute pleasure to be asked to be here today. MP Mel Arnold extends his regrets. He is unable to attend today's National Day of Mourning ceremony here in Vernon. Parliament is in session requiring him to be in Ottawa, and he has asked me to say a few words on his behalf. As we gather here today, we know that mourning or grieving is an important part of healing for those left behind. But healing from a workplace loss is something none of us should have to go through. Each and every employee or worker expects to go home healthy at the end of their shift. Tragically, in 2019, nearly 1,000 workplace-related deaths were reported across Canada, and in 2020, there were 151 deaths in BC from workplace injury or disease. This is far too many in a country where we have the knowledge and safety equipment to prevent many, if not all, of those deaths. So as we gather to mourn on this National Day of Remembrance for those who are no longer here with us, we also share a responsibility to address workplace safety, to point out hazards, and to keep co-workers and fellow employees safe from injury, disease, or death in the workplace. If we all pledge to do this and follow through on that pledge, hopefully all workers will get home in good health at the end of each workday and be there to support further actions towards safe and respectful workplace environments. We wish to thank everyone who has participated today to help raise awareness and show your commitment to workplace health and safety and to honor those we have lost. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ms. Durning, for those words of comfort from MP Arnold. I would now like to read a statement from Vernon Monashee, MLA Harwinder Sandhu, who sends her regrets. Today, we come together to commemorate workers who have lost their lives due to a workplace injury or disease. These workers were beloved friends, siblings, parents, and spouses. They contributed to their families and communities, and they made a difference in the lives of others. Every worker deserves the right to go back home safely to their loved ones after work. I offer my deepest condolences to those who have lost a loved one and to those who continue to suffer from illness or injury caused by their work. Today also marks an opportunity to renew our collective commitment to protecting the health, safety, and well-being of all workers. Our provincial government is committed to strengthening workplace safety so that everyone can come home healthy at the end of their shift. I wish I could join you all in person today, but I am in Victoria working in the legislature. I will be thinking of workers who lost their lives and who acquired injury or illness during their job and will keep their families in my thoughts. Please know that as your MLA, I will continue to advocate for worker health and safety in Vernon, Monashee, and across BC. The words of MLA Harwinder Sandhu. And I told the speakers before not to crinkle their paper because it'll come up in the audio, and here I am crinkling my paper. Next speaker I would like to introduce is Acting Mayor Brian Quiring.
Thank you, Josh. As I mentioned before, this is a very important day that we are recognizing together. And I say that as both a member of council for the City of Vernon and as a local architect who works very closely with dozens of crews and crew members on a daily basis in places where serious injuries can happen very quickly if health and safety measures are missed. It goes without saying that this year hits particularly close to home for us in the construction industry. The City of Vernon has more than 600 employees working in a variety of environments, from road construction to utility line repairs to recreational programming to water reclamation, community safety, fire rescue services, building inspections, planning services, and administrative roles. We as an organization have a duty to provide and maintain a safe and healthy environment for every one of our staff members and the public we serve. I'm proud to be able to say that the City of Vernon has an unwavering commitment to the health and safety of its employees, making sure that everyone goes home safely at the end of each day. If I've learned anything over the last 2 years from the global pandemic and the measures that were widely put in place in response to the COVID-19 virus, it's that we must take specific steps each and every day to ensure that health and safety are at the forefront of everything we do. In the way we interact with each other, establish our practices and protocols, how we plan our activities, and how we go about our work. Today, we are here to commemorate and pay solemn tribute to the workers who have been lost, who have had their lives changed due to workplace injury or illness. Today is a somber but important day. Our hearts are heavy for the workers who didn't return home, for the workers who were injured on the job, for the workers who have suffered illness as a result of work-related incidents, and of course for the families, co-workers, and friends of those we are honoring. We are also here today to reaffirm our unwavering commitment to the health and safety of all our colleagues and employees, and to ensure that we never lose sight of why that's so important. So thank you to all of our staff for all you do and for the careful and thoughtful steps you take each day to protect yourselves, each other, and our community members. We appreciate you. We are here for you, and we are here with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Quiring. Next, I would like to introduce to you from WorkSafe BC, Dion Torium.
Thank you, Josh. And good morning, everyone. It's my privilege to say a few words on this day of mourning as we remember all those who have died because of workplace injury and illness. Last year in British Columbia, there were 161 work-related deaths. Sadly, this is an increase from 2020, where there were 151 deaths. Each of their losses is a tragedy that's felt by so many, their families, friends, co-workers, and their communities. Occupational disease remained the single leading cause of death for BC workers in 2021. It took 99 lives, with many a result of asbestos-related disease. 13 workers died because of COVID-19 exposure in the workplace. Traumatic fatalities accounted for 62 deaths last year. 47 were the result of a traumatic incident at the worksite, and 15 because of motor vehicle incidents. Many of these traumatic deaths occurred in industries that are considered high risk. For instance, construction, manufacturing, and forestry. But we know that hazards and risks are present for workers anywhere, in any industry. And that workplace injuries and illnesses can extend beyond just the physical. We are challenged today with issues like bullying, harassment, vulnerability, discrimination, and mental health. All of these can take their toll on the health and safety for workers. Regardless of the industry or the risk, no one should suffer injury, illness, or lose their life because of their job. As a prevention officer with WorkSafe BC, I'm focused on supporting healthy and safe workplaces so that tragedies don't happen. I have seen the devastating consequences of these tragedies, and I know that these deaths could have been prevented. Last year, our Okanagan community experienced traumatic fatalities in several industries: agriculture, tourism, the service industry, and the tragic crane incident at a Kelowna construction site last summer. The Day of Mourning is a time to remember that the key to healthy and safe workplaces lies in joint action that involves everyone: employers, workers, supervisors, and other stakeholders. At WorkSafe BC, we work diligently to prevent workplace injury, disease, and death through education, consultation, and enforcement. But we all have a role to play, and when we work together to fulfill our responsibilities, we reduce the risk of injury, illness, and death. Employers have the legal responsibility to provide a healthy and safe workplace for their workers. And workers have the right to expect a healthy and safe workplace and to be properly trained and to refuse unsafe work. Employers need to ensure that they set up and maintain effective health and safety plans that workers can understand and follow. And they should engage workers in how their organization manages health and safety to ensure that workers' voices are being heard and their feedback is being acted upon. We know that when workers are represented and engaged, and when they participate in occupational health and safety, it leads to healthier and safer workplaces and fewer injuries and deaths. Today, we honor the many people in British Columbia who have lost their lives due to their work. May their memory encourage us to work for a safer and healthier future. Let's commit to working together, doing everything we can every single day to making sure every worker in our province goes home healthy and safe at the end of their workday. Working together, we can save lives. On behalf of everyone at WorkSafe BC, I want to thank you for attending today.
Thank you, Dion. Up next, a representative from QP Local 626, Katya Cherkoff.
Thank you, Josh. Good morning, Honorable Acting Mayor Quiring, councillors, special guests, and esteemed colleagues. April 28th, 2022 marks the third Workers' Day of Mourning since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. 40 years ago, CUPE members created this day to remember workers who lost their lives on the job and to inspire others to advocate to prevent further tragedies. Although most provinces are rolling back public health measures, we know that workers need different rules to keep them safe at work. Workers must continue to push their employers to prevent exposure to COVID. Measures to increase ventilation, limit capacity, and prevent COVID-positive people from entering the workplace must remain in force. Employers need to provide adequate sick time for workers to recover from illnesses. And when workers must do their job in proximity to people with suspected or confirmed cases of COVID, adequate personal protective equipment must be provided and required. Workers in Canada continue to be killed at a completely unacceptable rate. The most recent available statistics show that 1,000 workers are killed on the job each year, a number that does not include rejected claims by compensation boards. This year, we remember the following CUPE members who died because of work in 2021. Antonio Gerlin, CUPE 145, Ontario. Debbie Coronan Barrett, CUPE 3440, Ontario. Mark Dennis, CUPE 1334, Ontario. Tom Thomas, CUPE 5430, Saskatchewan. Lisa Higginbotham, CUPE 3730, Saskatchewan. The Day of Mourning was created by CUPE members 40 years ago to remember those who lost their lives on the job and to inspire other workers to advocate to prevent further tragedies. As trade unionists, it is our responsibility to continue this fight. We must ensure that all workers know about the 4 workers' rights enshrined in every health and safety law in our country. The right to refuse work you believe is unsafe until an investigation can be carried out. The right to participate in deciding what is safe in the workplace and to report hazards. The right to information on any hazard in the workplace that may cause harm and how to prevent that harm. The right to be free from reprisal for carrying out any of the other rights or any other requirement of health and safety law. Employers across Canada must provide a healthy and safe workplace. Employers are legally obligated to collaborate with workers on healthy and safety committees to highlight issues and find safe solutions. Unfortunately, for the past 2 years, health and safety committees have been under attack. CUPE members are reporting several reoccurring problems from meetings being perpetually canceled, employers appointing union representatives, and purposefully scuttling committee efforts. We must remember that the health and safety is our forum to raise issues and make recommendations to employers. To that end, we need to redouble our efforts to build our capacity to ensure that we document hazards, keep careful records, and report back to members when our employers refuse to remove hazards or control risks from hazards that cannot be removed. When all else fails, we need to ensure our documented concerns are sent to governmental inspectors so that workers stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Katya. Now, up next, I would like to introduce and welcome to the podium Vernon Fire Rescue Chief David Lind.
I'm going to crinkle the paper. Hello, everyone. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here today to say a few words in honor of workers and the people who love them, who've been impacted by workplace tragedy. Today is a time to remember these workers and also to inspire us all to advocate for the prevention of further tragedies. Today, let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. To be clear, watching out for our own and other safety and well-being is truly an act of love and of good works. I've been a worker now for 39 years. A lot of the time has been spent in emergency services. As I've been reflecting on my work life in preparation for today, I realize I've had far too much contact with workplace tragedy. I remember 2 workers who lost their lives when a scaffolding collapsed at an industrial work site. I remember a hydro worker who was at the top of a pole when it failed. I remember Gary, a salesman who was traveling during a winter storm. And he was involved in a horrible accident, motor vehicle accident. I remember a young farmer who was burned after an explosion. And I remember friends and coworkers who've passed away from exposure to toxic fumes, chemicals, and smoke from the fires we worked. How do we honor those who have lost so much? I think that part of the answer is to learn from the tragedies. Many, most, if not all, can be prevented. What if the scaffolding had been properly installed and inspected? What if Gary had waited to the following day to travel when the road conditions were much better? What if the hydro pole had had a hazard assessment completed before the worker climbed it? I think we all get the idea. Many of these tragedies didn't need to occur, and we can prevent them from happening again. I also remember those who have had life-changing injuries on the job. I remember a 30-year-old carpenter who bent down to tie up a bootlace, and a wall fell on him. He was paralyzed from the waist down. I remember my godson, who as a young worker had his hand amputated in a chain for an overhead door. The hand was reattached, but it never had the strength for him to finish pursuing the career he was after. He wanted to be a welder, so he's doing well and in another line of work. I remember a worker from a fertilizer plant who had chemical burns. It was a cold winter night in Manitoba. There were emergency showers available to him, but the water wasn't heated. When we got to him, he had hypothermia from the ice cold water and also chemical burns from not being able to stay in the water long enough. And I remember a fellow firefighter who lost his eyesight from a hydraulic leak in the jaws of life. He wasn't able to return to active fire suppression after the injury. So, as I thought back over these experiences, these tragedies, I also thought back to some of the near misses I've had in my own career. And I realize it's by the grace of God that I have not been seriously injured or worse. A ceiling collapsed just after we left an area we never should have been in. There have been multiple motor vehicle near misses working at an accident site. There was a violent and mentally ill person we'd been called to help, and we'd gotten too far into the house before we realized the danger. I had a needle stick from an IV that had been used to treat an HIV positive patient. I was in a Zoom boom 60 feet in the air when it malfunctioned and began to tip out the passenger platform. And there's been exposure to chemicals and smoke. If you pause and reflect, I imagine that each of you can recall near misses of your own, probably more than one. Sometimes these are due to a poor choice or a lack of appreciation for the risk, or they result of taking a shortcut that we've gotten away with time and time again. But regardless of the cause, what is it that we've learned from these events? Have we shared those learnings with others? And do we have the courage to speak up when we see an unsafe condition or practice? Can we hear and accept correction when we are doing something in an unsafe manner and someone else has the courage to bring it to our attention? I hope that we're doing all of these things, as in these ways we can honor those who have experienced a workplace tragedy. And we can prevent these tragedies from happening again to someone else. At the City of Vernon, we have an unwavering commitment to the health and safety of our staff, doing our very best to ensure they go home healthy and safe each and every day. I'm very proud and grateful to be a member of this organization. All of you make this an amazing place to work. I sincerely thank you for your good work and your commitment to serving each other and our community. God bless.
Thank you, Chief Lind. Our final speaker of the morning, I'd like to introduce to the podium on behalf of the Vernon North Okanagan RCMP, Inspector Blake McLeod.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here on behalf of Superintendent Shauna Barr, who's the officer in charge of the Vernon North Okanagan Detachment. Yeah, I had a speech prepared. I also don't want to crinkle, but I think, I'll be honest, I can't top what the guest speakers have already said, so I'm not actually going to use my prepared words. So, interestingly enough, I don't know much about this national holiday, which sounds weird, I think, being in my profession, but I went online and looked at actually the history and what this National Day of Mourning represents. And I think the speakers have done an excellent job kind of talking about the past, respecting those that have passed away. I didn't realize it actually dealt with workplace injury and illness, all extremely important things for all workers, not just police officers. So I'll be honest, for me, this is something I'd like to move forward with my own detachment and make sure this is a more important day for us. The speakers did an excellent job talking about reporting, being safe, not being afraid to come forward with safety issues, safety concerns. That's extremely important to the police and to everyone else and all their other employments. So I'll be honest, I just want to say thank you. Thanks to everyone who showed up today. I saw the firemen actually leaving on a call in the middle of this, which actually gave me more time to reflect. These are things that in bylaw, police, fire department, EHS, public safety type employment, it's things that we deal with every day, and we don't actually give enough pause, I think, to those who have gone before us who have been injured, illness, death, which in the police world is the ultimate sacrifice for us, unfortunately. Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming here today, for taking the time to remember. So thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Inspector. And again, thank you to all our speakers today. Another round of applause, please. So before we observe a moment of silence, we hold these words and these stories in our hearts. I would like to invite two members of Integrity Traffic Control up to lay some roses at the wreath in memory of one of their fellow co-workers, Belle Burrows, who was lost to a workplace incident in 2017. Please. So as we look around, now would be an appropriate time for us to hold a moment of silence for all those we've lost and those who are mourning someone dear to them. Thank you all. Wrapping up, as expressed with so much compassion and spoken so eloquently by our speakers, today is a somber day. We hold space for those who we have lost and for ones who have lost someone. We mark these days of significance to honor them. As we go forward in our day today, let's be safe, let's be aware, let's look out for our fellow co-workers, and let's all return home safe. Thank you.